Okay, so once we've initialised the machine, it's on this home screen. Previously it obviously counted 51 bottles, so we have settings, engineer, mode selection for each head, some grey boxes here, the machine status, and an on button. We press this, the machine comes to life. Off. It's on, but we haven't initialised servos. So we switch the machine on at the touch screen with an engineer. At the moment you can't log in because you haven't the engineer password. If I remove my glove, it's just difficult to operate. Click engineer, and the password is a code 0956. Press OK. Login successful. OK, that allows us to access the engineer screen. This screen shouldn't really be used by the operator. Only someone like an engineer knows exactly what they're doing, but we'll discuss what everything does, because obviously people are interested and they want to know what things do. So starting from left to right, as we know, head 2 or head 1 is always shown on the right and head 2 on the left, as the machine operates left to right. So the first bottle out is going to be on the right. So head 2 motor settings. Acceleration and deceleration and prime speed are to do with the settings of this servo motor. We don't really alter this because it's all within the settings of the servo motor itself. The prime speed allows us to change the speed at which when we press the prime button on the main screen or the settings screen. Allows us to alter the speed of that. So for example, if the customer is using a very thin product, we might want to slow that down, otherwise the prime might be very, very fast. But we set it on a standard of 1000 RPM, which allows it to prime quite quickly. Motor direction shouldn't be touched. This is to do with reversing and changing the direction of the motor. If it's the machine happens to be from the right to left configuration, then we can alter that there. The solenoid open dwell and closed dwell. This is to do with when the pump finishes pumping, we want to open the solenoid or the pneumatic filling nozzle just slightly before the pump starts. Otherwise, if we started pumping when the nozzle's closed, then it's just going to cause a pressure issue. Similarly with head 1, conveyor speed setting is in percentage, so we can alter the percentage up and down. All of these figures, if you press, it brings up a box. So 40 is 40%. If we change it to 50, it's 50%. So we'll put it back to 40% as that's what we've set it on. No bottle and cue back delay. This is to do with the conveyor sensor controls. Shouldn't touch these. It's to do with the on time and the off time, which allows the machine to calculate when to start gating and when to stop gating, or when the bottles are ready to be gated or filled. Optional unit setting is something which is not fitted to this machine. Again, conveyor setting direction. Sorry, the motor direction at the top isn't for the drive motor on the conveyor, it's for the motors on the filling heads themselves. Sometimes we reverse the motors if we're filling creams. So at the moment we're drawing product from the back, so the motor is operating in a direction where liquid is pumped from the inlet at the base to the outlet at the top. Other times we will be pumping it the opposite way, so with like a heavy thick cream we will be coming from the top of the machine and pumping it down. So that's why we reverse the motor, so we can pump in different directions. And again, gating system time settings. Leave this, don't touch this, because it will affect the opening gap of the bottle and it might trap the bottle. So these have been factory set. So unless you really needed to, put some very, very, very big bottle or very, very small bottle, I wouldn't alter these at all. And again, recirculation system, that's not fitted to this machine, that's for something else. So from here we can press settings. Because we're in engineer mode, we don't have to re-enter the password. Controls little home, so that says the home screen. settings screen, engineer screen, settings screen, home screen. There's only 3 main screens. So on the home screen, you can see we're in fully automatic mode on both sides. So for example, we can actually run the machine and turn one head off. We might not want the output, but we'd have to have the bottles in place, or we would just take one filling head off and just run it as a single head machine and alter the gating so there's just one bottle underneath. Obviously for speed we want to be able to fill 2 bottles. Head count, or total fill head count, head 2. This figure, if you look in settings, is the top level figure. So this is the calculation of what the total fill of the pulses to fill the bottle. So if you look back, 67,500, 61,000, 67,500, 61,000. It's easier to have these finer settings for multi-stage filling on one screen, where we can tune the machine quite easily by, because if the bottle is slightly under filling, then we can alter this, say 67, 600 into that. Then we go onto the settings screen, it's changed. Or we can alter it here, 67,500, enter, and it changes on there. So we have prime head 2, as we know, press and hold the amount of time that the pump operates. As soon as we take our finger off, it will stop. Continuous is a latched button, so if we press continuous, it will stay on until we press it again. Batch counter, reset, resets both of them. There's no point in having a count on or reset on just one of them. Machine status, this indicates what the machine's doing. It possibly say in operation or in fully automatic mode or waiting for bottles, but you'll see what it says, and we'll identify that when we're actually running the machine. So if we start to produce, I'm just going to change this value here down a little bit, so 65,700. Okay, and now I'm going to start a cycle. At the moment we're filling water on head 2 and a thick conditioner on head 1. There's no bottles between here because we've preset the gating and we've preset the heights of the nozzles. So we're going to index 2 bottles in. If there were 2 bottles in the machine, these would be indexed out because they may be partially filled, so we don't want to fill on top of partially filled bottles, and then the other bottles will continue. Due to the fact we've only got a small amount of bottles, we'll be holding our hand over the sensor to allow the machine to think that there are more bottles on the line, otherwise it will stop. So once we start production start, the conveyor will ramp up. 2 bottles will gate under the positions of the filling heads, waiting for bottles. As we said, it won't start because there aren't any bottles there. So I'm going to put my hand there, so if we look at the screen and the bottles, once the hand is there, the machine then finds out filling the gated area, and the machine is filling. As you can see, the status of the bottle is filling. Once one's filled, the second's out. You can also change on the fly the fill if it's overfilling. Previously used these bottles, so there is some product in there which is causing it to fly. What I do is I keep my hand on the sensor to allow it to show my bottles filling, and then remove my hands. Bottles jumped there because there was only one bottle behind it driving it. So now the machine stops. There's no bottles, it's waiting bottles. So until bottles enter the filling area, the machine will, as it states on the HMI, wait for And if you look at the filled bottles, we have 4 filled on head 2, 4 filled on head 1, which makes obviously 8 to be produced. If you look in there, we have conditioner, water with a bit of conditioner which we were previously running,